Netflix's Tudum event brought about a bunch of announcements. Squid Game Season 3, which I still need to actually watch Season 2 before the season comes out. What can I say? I thought it ended perfectly well in Season 1. The announcement by Tony Chopper that we wouldn't get One Piece Season 2 until 2026, which is my second reason for surviving this year, by the way. The first is Bridgerton Season 4, which we're also getting next year. There's the Stranger Things trailer, which is okay, I guess, if you're interested in watching the final season. I am not. There's the Frankenstein trailer, which Guillermo del Toro, you did that. The minute I saw all that snow and ice, I was like, yes, this is someone who knows and respects Mary Shelley's work. We are about to eat good, y'all. And finally, there was the first 6 minutes clip for Wednesday Season 2 that we were given, which I've rewatched over and over again because it is so good. And also because that's the only thing tiding me over until August, when we will be getting the first half of Season 2. August 6th, to be precise. Note that down in your calendar. Well, in the 6 minutes clip that was shared with us, we got a lot of things that I personally always appreciate about the character of Wednesday. We saw that she spent her summer studying and learning more about her psychic abilities in order to master it. Spoiler alert, she doesn't really. We saw as well that she decided to take the opportunity to use her newly developed powers in order to track down, in her own words, her favorite serial killer, which is so stereotypically Wednesday. She finds him, tries to tase him, and is instead stuck with a vision. Remember my previous words about her not having really mastered her abilities yet? And then she blacks out to wake up bound in the serial killer's basement, which she's not worried about. And also, thanks to her own quick thinking and Thane coming through as always, she knocks the serial killer out, frees herself, and wants Thane to not breathe a word about the fact that she was bleeding from her eyes to anyone, specifically a mother. And those words just made me realize and connect to something that had been teased in the trailer we got a month ago. Season 2 is going to be about Wednesday forming a different bond with Morticia, one that's miles apart from how their relationship was back in Season 1, but closer to what their relationship has been in the earlier shows and films. We're going to go back to the state of the creepy and the kooky, mysterious and spooky. They're all together, hooky, the Addams Family. Now, please note that all of this is just me speculating, of course. We really won't learn if there really would be a change in Wednesday's relationship with her mother until the new season drops. And maybe I'm making too big a deal about a 2 seconds clip that we got in the teaser, but what can I say? Having my brain overanalyze every single thing in a show or movie or book I'm reading is my superpower. I like to lean into that. But as I was saying, after Wednesday warns Thane not to tell anyone about what is happening to her, specifically her mother, it got me thinking about Wednesday and her relationship with Morticia. Now, I don't know how many of you all remember, but back when Season 1 dropped 2 years ago, there was quite the number of think pieces about the fractured relationship between Wednesday and her mother. A lot of fans of the OG Addams Family hated the change that was made with Wednesday seemingly being more petulant in her relationship with Morticia. She is very snide and clearly doesn't understand or appreciate the choice that Morticia has decided to take with her life. And when you look at the character of Wednesday, this antisocial, type A driven lover of all things macabre, horrors, and death, she's markedly different from her mother, who is clearly way more gregarious and, with another change done to the show, was one of the popular students back when she was at Nevermore. The clash in their personalities meant that, as far as Wednesday was concerned, in addition to the overt affections that her parents kept engaging in, her mother and her were cut from different cloth and had nothing in common with each other. And although Morticia loves her daughter, this perception of her by Wednesday does keep them at a bit of a distance. And some people really hated that. I didn't, because to me it made sense. I love Wednesday in all the iterations that she's been given to us, whether it's the sitcom from the 60s with Lisa Loring as Wednesday, the animated show from the 70s with Cindy Anderson voicing Wednesday, the 90s films with the iconic Christina Ricci as Wednesday, the 2010s with Chloe Grace Moretz taking on the role, or the current Wednesday that's Jenna Ortega. I love her, every single version of her. And what helps me with loving all the Wednesdays we've gotten is because I see each Wednesday as existing floating in her own world, her own little cocoon driven by her own concerns. The 60s Wednesday will never be as dark as the 90s Wednesday, for example, because she's the loner outcast who would rather have family maintain their distance and space for her, but is also willing to tolerate them. Yeah, but she does all of that within the sitcom format, and so is pretty limited in that regard. She's also much younger. 90s Wednesday, however, actively tried killing her baby brother Probert, which works for her own characterization, but wouldn't for sitcoms Wednesday. So quite different in that regard. It's what helped me really appreciate Jenna's Wednesday, because sure, her Wednesday is also antisocial and would drop in rags to terrorize a group of bullies, but she does that in defense of her brother, who, in her words, she's allowed to bully, but no one else can. Yes, she has walls upon walls as her defensive mechanism, but if you can manage to sneak your way in, she will fight to protect you and even feel guilty if her actions put you in some form of danger, as we see with Enid, i.e., she's a teenager. All of this to say that with all the Wednesdays being different in their own little ways, that difference also extends to their relationships with their own Morticians. And it's the same with Jenna's Wednesday. The show hints that Wednesday's sore point of conflict with Morticia is the fact that they are too different. Morticia, whilst also embracing the goth look and likeness that is the signature of the Addams family, is very different from who Wednesday would like to be. Morticia is more of a charmer. She's outgoing, better liked. Hell, she had suitors fighting over her, and although the show does give Wednesday the weird love triangle in the first season, the way it mirrors her mother's relationship is so different, because whilst Morticia really is with Gomez and ends up marrying him, Wednesday is more coded as having zero interest in all that relationship stuff. What she wants is very different, and Wednesday has her suspicions that with her mother pushing her to attend her alma mater and even finding a way to get her into staying in her old dorm, Morticia's goal might be to turn Wednesday into a mini version of herself. Wednesday, however, is about her own individualism, and it's ultimately her desire to keep that individualism and not let herself become subsumed in Morticia and her wants. This is a very valid fear for teenagers and young adults who are desperate to step out of their parents' shadows, and I totally understood why she would have that fear. However, we see clearly from season 1 that this fear is driving a wedge between Wednesday and Morticia. And sure, things seem a bit mended after Wednesday and her mother team up to dig up Gates' body in order to prove once and for all that it was poisoned via nightshade, which was his cause of death, and not the stabbing that Morticia had dealt him in self-defense, also that they can finally exonerate Gomez. And even though it was sweet to have them both bond over a dead body, as is the Addams family style, it doesn't speak to or resolve the cause of the rift between Wednesday and Morticia. Wednesday doesn't think that she has anything in common with her mother, and thus doesn't feel like her mother would ever understand her. And that is why I think that the show delving deeper into the psychic backlash that Wednesday is suffering from as a result of her learning her magic and studying it matters. Because from what we hear via Wednesday in the 6 minutes clip, she spent the entire summer studying and trying to own her psychic abilities alone, as is a usual MO. Wednesday tackles this facet of her life and her identity without asking for help because she believes that she has it handled as always. But with her bleeding from her eyes when she gets the vision from touching the serial killer, it is clear that she doesn't have a handle on things like she thought. But as is her usual MO, she is going to try and keep it from everyone else, as she believes it is something she can fix on her own. The fact that in the trailer we see Morticia looking at the journal where there's a sketch of a young girl bleeding from her eyes, like Wednesday was in that clip, confirms for me that Morticia would learn the truth. And I think this is very important because the show clearly intends to delve into Morticia and Wednesday's mutual roles as seers and psychics in their world. The fact that Morticia looks so worried after spotting the journal, the content of the journal, has me wondering if it's not possible that this is something that Morticia herself is familiar with. Psychic abilities like this one does run in the family, and it is possible that either Morticia or her own mother herself might have suffered that backlash, because Morticia's worried expression and her talks about secrets, family secrets, makes me wonder if this psychic backlash is less to do with Gomez's side of the family and more with the from side, i.e. Morticia's own family. Which, side note, I wonder if the grandmama that we're seeing introduced in the show, is she Grandmama Addams, i.e. Gomez's mother, or Granny Frump, i.e. Morticia's mother, which was what the films did back in the 90s. Either one works for me, of course. I'm just curious and would love to hear which you think it would be as well. Like, which grandmama are we getting? Please drop your thoughts in the comment. But back to what I was saying, Morticia and Wednesday might not have a lot in common, but they both being seers is a big deal. If you're someone who watches a ton of shows and movies about witches, especially the ones with abilities that run within the family, it is always a more matrilineal heritage, and it isn't uncommon to have scenes of them learning with their mothers or maternal figures who lead and guide them as they come into their powers in a way that is meant to be safe. Keyword here being safe, which is unfortunately not something that Wednesday Addams desires, and her characterization won't let her pursue. Which means that the onus is on Morticia, therefore, to actively talk to her daughter and try and guide her as she's fully coming into this power. And yes, Wednesday's response would most likely be prickly. Her visions, after all, are way more darker than Morticia's, but Morticia is still best suited to help her as she learns and grows in her powers. Because I don't know about you, but having Wednesday constantly bleeding every time she gets a vision and suffers backlash from it isn't sustainable. Like, I know my baby girl is superpowered and is an unstoppable machine, but as we learn in season 1, Wednesday Addams is very much mortal. And bleeding to death can absolutely not be in the cards for her, which is where I think her mother would have to come in. Hell, with the way in which Morticia looks as she closes that journal, she doesn't look surprised. Instead, she seems filled with sadness that something she's expected and feared happening was actually happening. Wednesday will not welcome the help, but Morticia would have no choice but to give it, and that is where I think the rift in their relationship will start to heal. Because working together with her mother as she's trying to learn her craft in a way that wouldn't lead to her dying or being hurt irrevocably is how Wednesday will learn more of the secrets her mother keeps hidden. Secrets that would have her realize just how similar she is to Morticia after all. Because just like with Grant's body, I do think that there's a lot that her family keep hidden from Wednesday. Because she isn't meant to know, and it isn't in her place to be aware of them. But however, when the powers that are passed down her family line are actively putting her in danger, then it seems like some of those secrets would have to be brought out into the dark. Unlike Wednesday tells Morticia, she does her best work in the dark. Of course, that's just me and my thoughts. Would love to hear yours as well. Do you think that whatever is going on with Wednesday would be the impetus, the kick in the behind that she needs to finally fix her relationship with her mother? Would the psychic backlash serve a purpose of helping Wednesday and Morticia mend their relationship, in addition to helping her learn more about her family and where she's from? Are you excited for Wednesday season 2? Let me know in the comments. Like this video if you haven't done so yet. Share it if you want. Support me on Patreon if you can. And until tomorrow's video, do remember, obsessing over the things you love, perfectly valid coping mechanism.